Good morning. Thank you for joining the SPOR quarterly status update webinar. We will now start the session. Please note that this session is being recorded and will be made available through EMA corporate website and YouTube channel. Please note that participation and interaction will be done via the Slido tool. You can, of course, remain anonymous. But if you provide us your personal name and details, you are hereby consenting to the processing of that personal information. Please join the Slido code that you can now see on screen, or the QR code that you can see there to access the Slido. Send us and upvote all the questions that you want to hear answered. And as always, we will be showing the questions on screen and addressing verbally the top voted ones. Please help us manage the Q&A. We often have a lot of questions. If we are presenting a given topic, we do appreciate if you ask us the questions relevant to that topic. So if we're presenting SMS, if you ask us questions on PMS or something else, please note that we will not be addressing the questions there and then, only when we're covering the topic on the session. And please help us by labeling the topic so it's easier for us to filter and identify quickly the questions that we need to address verbally. In terms of the materials of this webinar, as always, they will be shared in the SPOR portal documents section and the EMA events webpage. The recording of this session will also be shared in due course via the EMA YouTube channel or the EMA events webpage. That's where you can find all the materials of today. The aim of the webinar is to focus not just on what we've done in the previous quarter, but give you some awareness of the planned changes for the next quarter. And today, next slide, we will be covering, starting with an SMS update, an OMS update, RMS. We will have a short coffee break of 10 minutes. Then we will resume with xEVMPD and PMS. And please note that today we have two important and long feature topics. So we will be covering two features that have gone live in the previous quarter, specifically the OMS subscriptions and RMS term versions available in the API. And please note that because of that, this part of the agenda will be slightly longer, with 20 minutes and 10 minutes for questions and answers. Therefore, we have slightly less time for Q&A in the remaining topics, but I hope you will appreciate the new features of the system. And we will carve up some time for conclusions at the end, just to recap what it is that we did and what we're doing in the next quarter. So without further ado, I hand over to Pedro, who will start with the SMS update.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So in terms of the past quarter and the coming quarters, in terms of change requests and our data enrichment activities, so everything remains the same. So we continue to process change requests as they arrive, and we continue to perform our usual data enrichments that we have been performing for several years already at the usual time scheduled. Now, in terms of data quality activities, so the main focus of the past quarter and the current quarter is our data management team handover. So as mentioned before, our previous contract was expiring, tender has been launched, a new team is being set up, and our current priority is training this new team and ensure the continuity of the quality of the service. Now, in parallel to this big activity, we are also addressing outstanding activity that we had for quite some time already, related to changing substance preferred terms. And I'll be focusing on that in the next couple of slides. Then later in the year, we are hoping to be able to resume our data cleansing activities and addressing new substance types that are not yet cleansed. In terms of documentation, we are currently working on 2 documents that I will be explaining also in the next slide. In terms of awareness, we are continuing with the SPOR clinics and with the SPOR status update webinar, like we are doing today. And in terms of modernization initiatives, so I'll be giving an update on substance exports and bulk functionalities. So in terms of activities that have been completed in the past quarter, so the one that I've already mentioned related to the changing the outstanding preferred terms. So in the several data cleansing exercises that have already been completed with cooperation with the substance validation group. So many substances have been identified that they needed a change in the preferred term. However, until now, changing a preferred term could have an impact in pharmacovigilance activities, in eudravigilance. So it could affect the ICSR recoding activities. So in order to not disrupt any pharmacovigilance activities, most of these changes from the past exercises have been put on hold. Now, a change has been implemented in eudravigilance that should allow us to change the preferred terms of the substances without affecting the pharmacovigilance activities. And we have started to address these outstanding changes. We started with 2 groups of substances, algae and fungi. And the reason to start with these ones, it's because it's a smaller number and also lower impact in case everything would go wrong with the ICSR recoding. And so far, no issues have been reported, so these 2 groups are completed, and the main benefit for users of this change is that the preferred term will be visible now in all consuming systems, especially in the EAF, because the EAF only displays the substance preferred term. So now, by having the correct preferred term in SMS, you will be able to find the substances that you are looking for easier in the EAF. Now, in terms of the substance exports, we have made some changes in both the current export and the non-current export. So in the current export, we have added the replacement SMS ID. So we had already the replacement SMS ID for the non-current substances, so the ones that have already been nullified, but we didn't have it for the substances that are not yet nullified, but we want to nullify them in the future. So the ones that have the SVG flag 0 that has been mentioned in all past webinars. So now, even if a substance is not yet nullified, you will be able to see in the export that the substance will be nullified in the future, and you can see already what is the replacement substance in that file. You also have a new column in the export for the number of the European Pharmacopoeia. So this column is not yet populated, but as soon as we load this data into SMS, it will be automatically available in the export in the next day. So what we are planning to do for this quarter. So as I've already mentioned, so we will continue with the outstanding changes in preferred terms. So the group of substances that we are currently addressing is substances that are mentioned in the European Pharmacopoeia. So now it's a group of very important substances, and we are hoping to finalize it this month. Then we have another smaller group of substances, not so much impact, animal records. And then in August, we are hoping to start with the chemicals, and then in September with the plants. And then we will have all our backlog of preferred terms addressed, and we will no longer need to have these dedicated exercises just to change preferred terms. We'll be able to change preferred terms whenever needed, whenever recommended by the SVG. So the next cleansing exercises will be able to be fully implemented much quicker. Then another activity that is ongoing is related to documentation. So right now there is one document for SMS, so the external guidance, the SMS guidance for external users, that contains general information on SMS and the business rules together in the same document. But based on a recommendation from the SPOR user group, we will split this document into two. So there will be still the guidance for external users containing the processes, the context of SMS, the consuming systems, but we will have a separate document with business rules. And both of these documents are currently being reviewed by the user group, and we are hoping to publish them by the end of this quarter. And the main benefit will be, it will be easier to update just one of these documents instead of having to constantly review both. And the frequency of the reviews will likely be different. So the guidance will likely become a more stable document that maybe we only review once a year. And the business rules can be updated more quickly as we complete a new cleansing exercise with the SVG. We can just do a minor update in the business rules document and publish it quicker so that you have access to that information quicker. And lastly, in terms of bulk functionality improvements, so right now we have several bulk functionalities available in SMS, but they only allow to update one section at a time. Furthermore, all of these functionalities trigger updates in all the consuming systems, even if the data field that is being updated does not exist in that consuming system. So what we are doing is creating a new bulk functionality specifically for duplicates that will allow to update multiple sections of SMS at the same time. And we are also improving the way that the already existing bulk functionalities work to only trigger updates in systems that actually have those data fields so that we don't overwhelm consuming systems with blank updates. So after this is deployed, we'll also be able to implement the SVG cleansing results more quickly, and we will not be overloading systems unnecessarily. So to summarize, we have completed some outstanding changes in preferred terms, and we have done some improvements in the exports. Our current main activity is the data management team handover and finalizing this big legacy exercise in the changes of preferred terms. At the same time, we are working on documentation and improving our bulk functionalities. And all of this is to ensure that when we resume data cleansing in Q4, that we can do it more efficiently and we can make those cleansing results and related business rules more quickly available to you. And that was it from SMS.
Thank you, Pedro. So let me open a Slido because we have a couple of questions for you. We have a couple of questions. The main one, and I think we have this one. Yes. So Can you indicate when the flavors will be mandatory with their company name and also the commercial number? Any indication that you can give us about that?
Yeah, so this is already the draft business rule for flavors. So it is not yet published, but that is how we are registering most of the new flavor records. But as soon as this new document is published with the business rules, this one will be included there.
Okay, thank you. And we have another one related to the flavors, because some users have seen that some related flavors related excipients have been flagged with the SVG flag 0, but there is no indication to what to replace them with. So is this going to be updated at some point?
Yes, so if you look at the comment linked to those substance records, then most of those are probably unspecified substances. So these are general substance records. In case of flavors, for example, it would be just strawberry flavor. So there is no replacement because there's potentially hundreds of different strawberry flavors. So for already approved products, these substances with SVG flag 0 and comment unspecified can still be used. But if it is a new product, then a more specific substance should be used instead. So there should be a strawberry flavor with a manufacturer name and a manufacturer code linked to it.
Okay, thank you. I think that is the last question for the moment for SMS. We have still a couple of minutes, so if there is any question for SMS, please raise it. Okay, wait, we are having one, yes. So let us put it on the top. Yeah, here. So for amber lead, any alternate substance can be added?
I am not able to reply to this question at this moment. So if you could create a question in ServiceNow and also attach the SMPC of the product. So we would have to check which substance records we have in SMS related to this one and what would be the most suitable one in the case of your product.
Okay. So for the moment, there are no other questions for SMS. So I think we can just maybe move on to the next topic, which is OMS. So yeah, all the floor is yours, Deborah.
Yeah. Hello, morning. My name is Deborah Braga, OMS business lead, and I will guide you through the latest on OMS. Starting with the customer service, as part of our annually review towards the end of the year, we will again review our FAQs and service desk articles. When it comes to data management, there were some improvements done on the change request validation. We're going to go over some of these details in the next slide. We are, as Pedro mentioned, we are currently doing a handover of our data management team. In terms of data quality, we continue developing and improving our current OMS data quality profiles to ensure our business rules are being followed. In terms of documentation, we continue working on our policy on alternative names. We have not received any feedback, so we continue our internal reviews. For the next quarter, we aim to improve our category or control vocabulary, which is a document that describes the categories used in OMS. With the webinars, we will continue with the same quarterly frequency. And towards the end of the year, very important, our customer survey. Please use this platform to send any feedback and improvements you see that it would be beneficial, in this case for OMS, When it comes to modernization, it was a busy quarter, and the next quarter also going to be busy. So we've after a long waiting period, we finally have our OMS subscriptions in production. I'll guide you through what is there, what is available. We continue the work on improving our OMS change requests that are now available in service now. So as you know, this now is a basic functionality, and you have to copy all the data. We want to improve the user experience by integrating the OMS data in these forms. And last but not least, a new feature we would like to add we added to our backlog, which hopefully will help the user experience by making the overview of the version comments visible in the portal. But those details I will show you in the upcoming slides. So starting with the work completed in the current quarter, as I was telling you, we did some improvements on the way we're handling the change requests. And this was visible through a reduction by 20% of the rejected change requests. This was part of some internal changes, how we were triaging the tickets, and also the inclusion of the return change request capability. So all these changes we perform, they finally show a very good outcome. With these changes we did in our change request validation, of course, always with the aim of improving our user experience, reducing the waiting time, and once again, with this return change request capability to facilitate the communication, the exchange of communication with our users. And for our current quarter, we finally managed to implement our OMS subscriptions. This is now in place. As you know, OMS data is updated frequently, either via change requests or via data service activities. So not all changes always come from a change request. It may be a change that we detect that a change occur in the real world, and we need to implement it in our database. This is what we call data services. It doesn't come from a change request, but we found it, so we need to implement this change in OMS. This feature was also developed because we spotted that users often do not review OMS prior to their regulatory submission. And when they notice, either because of the business data change or because of a data standardization took place, and they lack this time for further clarification, or for there's insufficient time to understand, to ask more information about these changes. How is this feature come into place? How is it go in a nutshell? So the way it works is that as soon as you affiliate yourself, as soon as you subscribe to an organization, you will receive email notification monthly, or every Monday, weekly. And in this notification, you will receive a summary of changes that occur in the past week. So to receive this notification, you need to subscribe to the organizations. This is not, you will not receive a backlog information. So once you subscribe, any changes after this date, you will receive on your weekly email notification. This feature is a very recent feature. At the end of closer to the end of our webinar, I'll guide you through all the capabilities and the feature and the details of this feature. With this feature, we aim to, of course, improve our user experience, because users will be notified weekly of any changes that occur, especially for changes that were not performed by you, but they may have occurred in the database. And we aim also to support users with the preparatory work necessary and to reduce the hassle of last-minute communication. What comes next? For the next quarter, we aim to continue, and as part of our ongoing continuous review of our documentation, to review and to publish an updated version of our control vocabulary. With this, we will also improve our data quality profiling because the rules will be reviewed once again, and we will have a more tailored profiles. So this review will happen in the sense that we will review the designation of each category and, if necessary, enrich our document with any new categories that may have been created in the system. For you, for the user, we aim to provide a clear categorization of all the values that we're using and to help with the usage of the data. Another upcoming feature, which is the integration of OMS data in the change request forms. We understand that the manual typing often leads to mistakes, to typos, which also leads to having to revert the ticket more than once, or even a wrong rejection is a hassle we understand is not a very good experience for you. This is why we want to bring this integration. And with this, we aim to improve our forms with accurate data, because you will no longer have to copy paste. You will have to select the data that is currently available in our portal, in our dictionary. With this, improving your user experience and eliminate any copy paste typos that come with this manual typing. Last but not least, we notice that as right now, our versions, we've implemented this major feature in our OMS dictionary, which give a clear visibility, and we increase the transparency of our versions to our users. However, this information today is only available through exports and through API. What we want to do with this feature is we want to make it more accessible to all users. And we will do this by displaying the last version comment directly in the OMS portal. Once you open the location details, you will have for organization and location, because as you know, there are different version tracks for each of these attributes. And what you will be able to see is every time a version exists, then you will see the version type, which is a standardized list from RMS, and a version comment where you will see it's going to be a manual field where we add further details on the reasoning, the source of the change, and the data that what type of change was implemented in this with this new version. In a nutshell, a general overview to highlight what changed. So our OMS subscriptions were recently implemented 2 weeks ago, very fresh. Ongoing, as part of the ongoing work to highlight the integration of OMS data in our change request forms available in service now. In the future, we're working towards having these OMS versions visible in the portal, all of them to have, hopefully to improve the user experience that our users have when using our OMS data and dictionary.
Yeah, so we have a couple of questions for OMS, and I think we can start Here, so there is a question regarding a manufacturer that is actively performing some activities for an applicant, but recently it has been inactivated in OMS. So then in the consuming system, it's also appearing as inactivate. What can they do in those cases?
Here, a reminder that OMS manages legal entities as they are registered with the local authorities. Okay, so we're happy to look into this, into the details of this manufacturer. If you could please log a question in our service now. But if the record is inactive in OMS, it's because we are unable to validate this manufacturer as a legal entity in the country of the location. But we're happy to help giving more details about this record.
Okay, thank you. There's also another question. Okay, no, it's can you please explain a bit how does this automated address validation and synchronization work? Against which database are you validating the name and the address of the company?
I'm going to summarize because you have all the details in our OMS data quality standards, okay? But in a nutshell, we validate company names against the National Business Registry, or in some cases where this is not available, in the State Business Registry. And this State Business Registry, to my knowledge, we are using this for USA, India. Those are the two cases that we have included the State Business Registry aside from the National Business Registry. When it comes to address validation, we are using, as part of our validation, we have embedded in our system a feature, a library, which is called Address Doctor. This library contains information from more than 240 national postal services. So our OMS addresses, they are standardized according to the standards used by each national postal service. So with this way, we ensure that whatever address we validate, it's following the rules established by each country, the same way we do for company name validation. We follow whatever is registered with the local authorities.
Okay, thank you. I think we still have time for another one. So you've talked about these OMS subscriptions. I know there is a topic at the end, but there is a question, how can they apply for these OMS subscriptions?
You will have to stick with us towards the end, and you will have all the details in the upcoming slides.
Okay,
thank you.
Then thank you for the teaser. Then you need to stay until the end. We've reached the end of the OMS session. So there are a couple of questions there, but we need to move to the next topic, which is RMS. So Jaume, all yours.
Thank you, Marcos. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jaume Gonzalez. I'm the business lead for RMS. So I'll give you an update on the activities for RMS. So in terms of customer services, we continue to provide support to NCAs who want to publish translations in RMS, and this is planned as a permanent activity. With regards to data management, this second quarter of the year, we had the handover of the data management activities, and this is planned to last until the end of the year. We have completed the review by subject matter experts of 3 lists, which are the special precautions for storage, shelf life, and materials. So all three lists are now updated in RMS, and the minutes with conclusions can be found in the documents area of the SPOR portal, and we'll touch upon this in a later slide. Also, in quarter 2, we published the latest MEDRA update, which was version 29.0. as well as the EMDN list, which is a repository of medical devices managed by the European Commission, which will be needed for PMS reporting purposes. Now, in order to cater for future EMDN updates, as we expect yearly updates for this list, the team is working on a bulk update process, and this is planned to finish by the end of Q3. Another key achievement in Q2 was the publication of 6 additional lists in RMS that are needed for the modernization exercise that is currently taking place for Udro JMDP. So this brings the total number of published lists in RMS to 224. The review of data quality profiles and data quality reports to improve data quality in RMS is also planned for the remaining of the year. Other data management activities planned for the coming quarters are the identification of subject matter experts to do a major review of the units of measurement list, the publication of the 2026 version of VEDRA, which is going to be VEDRA version 22, as well as the publication of MEDRA 29.1, expected towards September, and the 2027 versions of the ATC human and vet lists that will come in the new year. With regards to documentation, the review of list information documents continues from last year, and the expectation is that by the end of the year, all lists in RMS will have this document. Similarly to last year, we are planning to publish the yearly update summary for the VEDRA list around Q3, soon after the VEDRA update is published. And just as a reminder, this yearly summary is a document that shows the exact changes implemented with the yearly update, and it also contains mappings between the RMS IDs and the VEDRA IDs. In terms of awareness, nothing changes. So you can see what's planned in the slide. Last but not least, and regarding modernization activities, there have been a couple of achievements in the past quarter. The first one is the implementation of the functionality to see previous versions of RMS terms via the API, which I will cover later. And the second one is the completion of the upgrade of the Informatica MDM system to version 10.5. Also, and this is more for your information, in the second quarter of the year, we have restricted the access to the MEDRA ATC human and ATC vet lists through the SPOR API. The reason for this is that these lists are copyright protected. So this was made to avoid the misuse of data. Just to reassure all of you, the full content of these lists continues to be available in the SPOR portal for browsing, but exporting the full lists or querying them via the API is not possible. So any industry users needing the full lists should contact the list owners directly. Other ongoing activities in the modernization area are the return of the RMS subscription functionality, which, as a matter of fact, was just reinstated this Monday, and the analysis for the integration between the MEDRA API and the RMS API, which is planned towards the end of the year. If I can have the next slide, please. So in terms of work completed in the previous quarter, the first item, as I was mentioning earlier, is the completion of the review of 3 key RMS lists, which are special precautions for storage, shelf life, and materials. Given the high number of requests for these lists and the need to have them ready for PMS implementation. So just as a recap, experts were identified at the end of 2025. The review started at the beginning of 26, and it was completed at the end of Q2 this year. all the updates, which basically include new and updated terms, are now published for each one of the 3 lists in the RMS portal, and the conclusions reached by the experts can be found under the document section of the RMS portal. And you can see the exact documents in the slide. So with this review, the lists are now ready for use in regulatory procedures. The second achievement was the publication of the EMDN list, which, as explained earlier, is a categorization of medical devices owned by the European Commission. This list is needed for the PMS attribute medical device nomenclature, and it was published in RMS at the end of last month. So as a result, the EMDN list is now available in RMS for consumption by PMS users for product enrichment. The third achievement for the past quarter is the functionality to get previous versions of an RMS term via the API. The reason for doing this is to let users see what has changed within a term and to be able to query specific versions of terms. The way that the API is designed is that it can be queried by version number using an as of date, or it can also list all the versions of a term. Implementation took place during Q2, and with this functionality, there should be more clarity and transparency on the changes in RMS terms, and this should improve the process of synchronizations, thanks to the possibility to see or select different versions of terms. So the main piece of work planned for Q3 this year is the return of the subscription functionality in RMS. And as mentioned earlier, this was actually implemented on Monday, so still within already in Q3 as planned. Just as a reminder, subscriptions are basically automated notifications of changes in RMS lists. And these were temporarily disabled during the transition to the EMA service desk as the central point of contact for all change requests. In order to improve visibility and communication, these subscriptions have now been reinstated. And the idea is that there won't be any need for users to log in. An email address should be enough. And once the email is typed in, an email will be sent for confirmation by the user. Then users should receive automated notifications when lists are updated. And this way, users won't need to do any manual checks to see what has changed. And this should also improve awareness of RMS changes. In parallel to this implementation, we are also planning to perform an analysis in Q3 to see if any improvements in the subscription functionality can be considered. Since for the moment, the notifications don't contain details of what exactly has changed. So this will be taken into account for this analysis. So quick summary of RMS activities. Work that has been completed since the last webinar is the Informatica MDM upgrade, the review of the 3 lists that we have already discussed, and of course, together with the publication of those lists in RMS. Also, the publication of 6 new lists for UDRA-GNDP modernization, the publication of the EMDN list, and the implementation of the functionality to see previous versions of an RMS term via the API. Work that is ongoing is the handover of the data management activities, the creation of a bulk update process to cater for future versions of the EMDN list, and the publication of missing list information documents for key lists. Changes expected in the near future. where the return of the subscription functionality to inform RMS users of changes in RMS lists. And we now have confirmation that this has already been reinstated. The organization of an awareness session with colleagues from inspections and xEVMPD to cover the manufacturing activity list and to increase awareness of this list, and the publication of the latest VEDRA and MEDRA versions. And then last but not least, and in the longer term, we are planning to work on the integration of the RMS API and the MEDRA API. We will be launching a call for experts to review the units of measurement list, which is in need for review. And for early 2027, we are planning the publication of the 2027 versions of the ATC human and vet lists. So that's all for RMS. We can now move to questions if there are any.
Yes, there are. We have a question related to the list of shortages, shelf-life, and materials. They are asking if they can consider those lists as updated and therefore available to refer in the RMS product UI.
So indeed, they are now updated, and you can see the minutes and the conclusions in the documentation area. Of course, this is not to say that the list is final. I mean, these lists, as well as other lists, we are planning for rolling reviews. So we should probably expect another one of these reviews in 6 months to a year time, approximately. But for the moment, this is indeed up to date and ready to be used for regulatory purposes.
Sorry, I'm muted. Is there any way to subscribe to the RMS changes?
So as of Monday, past Monday, you should be able to navigate to the subscription tab and to specify an email address, and then to select the lists for which you would like to subscribe. So yes, this should be enabled.
Thank you. Then there is a question if there is an intention to review and harmonize all the RMS lists in the future. That I guess is an ongoing activity. It's never ends. But then is there any opportunity for NCAs and for other stakeholders to contribute or participate to this review and harmonization process on RMS?
Yeah, thank you. So yes, the plan is to keep all lists as updated as possible. Of course, as you can imagine, we're now north of 220 lists, so it's impossible to keep them all up to date. So what we're doing is we're basically prioritizing by business needs. Yeah. So at the moment, we are mostly driven by our PMS colleagues. So we tend to prioritize those. And whenever it is clear and obvious that there's a lot of stakeholders requiring that list and that different experts need to be involved, we identify that. So for some cases, like the 3 lists we've mentioned, we now have dedicated and multidisciplinary group of experts that we consult. And by all means, if you want to join those groups, feel free to contact the RMS team and we will look into that. And for any other lists in the future, if there is the need to call for other experts, we will do so, as we were discussing for units of measurement, for example. So yeah, I think the short answer is yes, we want to review all lists and we will be consulting experts when needed.
Thank you, Jaume. So there are other questions, but we need to continue with the agenda. The next topic is the coffee break. So we have 10 minutes. We will see you back at 11:05. Hello, everyone, and welcome back from the coffee break. So we can continue with our next topic, which is xEVMPD. In this case, I'm going to take over because Veronica is on well-deserved holidays. So for the xEVMPD activities that we've been performing during this quarter, and which are the next activities. So in relation to the customer service, as you know, we are always reviewing and uploading the xEVMPD FAQs in ServiceNow. This is an activity that is ongoing and will be ongoing for some time. In relation to the data management and the data services, so you know that in Q2 we changed the way we request or we are able to submit the media terms. I will explain this a bit later. Then in Q4, and due to the activity that we are doing together with the NCAs to map the data to PMS, we have identified some missing products in xEVMPD, and we need to follow up with marketing authorization holders and with pharmacovigilance inspectors working group. How are we going to notify and which are the responsibilities of each group in relation to these products, these missing products in xEVMPD? As the rest of my colleagues, we have also been doing this data management handover. And in relation to the data management, we are going to review how we validate EV codes that belong to the same MRP or DCP procedure. For the data quality, we have this a process that has changed in xEVMPD. Now, authorized medicinal products should refer the QPPV associated with the headquarters, and this is something that has already been ongoing since Q2. For the documentation, we are updating the step-by-step documents because of the new user interface that we are releasing. In Q2, we have updated the chapter 3.2 and the SPOR guidance that has been published to include information with the new user interface. And in Q3, we will update the user manuals for the xEVMPD bulk export and the bulk update. We have different webinars as always, and as my colleagues also mentioned. And then for the information management modernization initiative. So in Q2, we have developed the bulk export and the bulk update tools with the new user interface. In Q3, we will update and we will release the bulk update export and the bulk export and bulk update, and together with the documentations related to these tools. A bit more focusing on the activities. So in Q2, what we've done is we have updated the chapter 3.2 and the sponsors guidance document to provide ML holders with more information related to the authorized medicinal products and also the development medicinal products. What we have included in these new versions is the reference to the upgraded xEVMPD user interface. We have updated those documents with new screenshots, so they reflect the latest version of the user interface. We also updated information related to the QPPVs, so no QPPV codes can be linked to the virtual affiliates that are used in authorized medicinal products. And we also updated information related to the MEDRA codes, because now marketing authorization holders are also allowed to include the PTs in their AMPs, not only the low-level terms of the MEDRA codes. Obviously, the impact and the benefit for the user is that now you have the most up-to-date information on the guidance. And if you have any doubt, you can also always go to these documents and consult them. What is next? So we are going to update the user manuals for the xEVMPD bulk export and also the bulk update that we will publish. This, in theory, is going to be published before the end of this week. We want to provide the marketing authorization holders with the relevant guidance, the relevant screenshots, so when they use the new tools in the new user interface, they know which buttons they need to click, how the tool is working, etc. So that's for the documents. Then, since yesterday, the bulk export and the bulk update tools are now available in the xEVMPD web. that will allow you to use the new user interface without the need to use ActiveX to access and use these tools. So again, since yesterday, if you access the xEVMPD user interface, you will be able to select the bulk update and the bulk export new tools. There will be a transition period during which these tools are going to be available in the EV restricted area. So from the 7th of July till the 7th of October, both tools, the ones with ActiveX and the one without ActiveX, are going to be available for marketing authorization holders. Then also minor upgrades were made to improve the user experience and the performance on these tools. So as a summary, what we've changed the a process on xEVMPD. So authorized medicinal products need to reference the QPPV codes that are associated with the headquarters or the affiliate profiles. We also changed the way you can submit your MEDRA terms. You can also refer now to the PTs instead of the LLTs. This is up to the marketing authorization holder what you want to provide. And we have the bulk export and the bulk update tools now available in the xEVMPD web, and you don't need to use ActiveX to use those tools. The ongoing work, as always, it's a project related to xEVMPD and PMS. We are helping NCAs to map their products with the PMS products. We are also reviewing how we are going to validate EV codes that are related to the same MRP or DCP. The idea is that most of the data should be common, so we want to validate, do a harmonized validation of all these EV codes. We need to review and update the xEVMPD training step-by-step documents, because with the new user interfaces, we need to update the screenshots and the user manuals. Related to the exercise on the NCS mapping, we need to follow up with MA holders and the pharmacovigilance inspectors working group on how MA holders are going to be notified if we don't find a specific product in xEVMPD. And then we also have the data management team handover during this year. Future changes. So we are going to check again, how are we validating EV codes that belong to the same MRP or DCP procedure. We want to develop functionalities in the xEVMPD web, and we have the xEVMPD bulk export and bulk update tool in the restricted area from the 7th of October. So that's when the transition period is finishing. Future changes, we will keep also improving the way we validate updated EV codes. We want to also do this in clusters the same way we are doing for the inserts, but in this case, in the future, we also want to include this or improve this validation for the updated EV codes. And then we need to integrate the product validation with the review of substances with the SVG flag 0. So this is, in a nutshell, the updates that we have for xEVMPD. I guess there might be at least one question that I've seen, so maybe we can move to Slido. So there is a comment on the user interface, the new user interface for the third acknowledgement that is a bit slow. And it's also, you need to select one by one to be able to download them. So you expect maybe changes in respect to this if you want to, for example, download multiple third acknowledgement at the same time. So that's a comment that I will take a note, and I will bring to the development team. We can include this discussion and maybe this improvement into the backlog. I cannot promise anything, but I can promise that we will discuss this internally, and we will see if we can improve this, or if there is any workaround, we can maybe need to update also the documentation. But thank you for the update. We will consider this one. Okay, so xEVMPD submissions for Northern Ireland is not clear for the guideline after 1st January 2025. Can you please explain? well, I don't know if I have the time now. So there is a document. It's a Q&A document explaining how the records for Northern Ireland should be submitted, what's the data that should be there, how the QPPV should be referred to. So maybe I can put the link into this question later. If you have any a specific question, you can always open a question in ServiceNow, giving us the specific information that you need. If you have a specific product that you don't know how to submit, we can provide you with this information. But there's a Q&A document specifically for this. Okay, for how long will the xEVMPD web will be in effect, and if there are plans to deactivate this new interface? When do you plan to deactivate this new one? So as I said, there is a transition period from the old to the new one. That is 7th of October. From 7th of October, only the new interface is going to work. And right now, there is no plan to deactivate this new user interface. Only when we decommission xEVMPD, that is in the long future, is when this will be decommissioned. But yeah, no plans for the moment to deactivate this one. Okay, recently we have received a third acknowledgement for Medra. The PT terms which we have added during the maintenance submissions are changed back to LLTs. As per the latest xEVMPD and Q&A session, it is confirmed that we can do Medra update with PT terms. Could you please advise on this? So yes, that's correct. We shouldn't have changed the PTs to the LLTs. You know that when that happens, you can always open a ticket for the xEVMPD team, and you can tell them that you don't agree with the changes that they have done. So my suggestion is please open a ticket, tell them that there were PT terms and they have changes to LLTs. And from my side, I will also check with the team to make sure that these business rules are clear and that they shouldn't change these PTs to LLTs. Okay, another question is, in one of the tickets, the service desk colleagues informed that EMA is currently discussing a new approach for product submission for the category valid pending national phase. Is there any progress on this, or should we continue to follow the values as described under the Q&A document? So you can follow still the rules that we have in the Q&A. There is a discussion ongoing, and after summer we will update this Q&A document. But for the moment, you can follow the rules that are there in the Q&A document of xEVMPD. Is there any way to update new SMPCs in bulk? So you can use the bulk update tool, and you can select the same attachment for multiple EV codes. That would be the way. The bulk update tool, there is a user manual that is going to be updated now with this the new tool that doesn't require ActiveX. You have all the information there, how to use the tool, etc. So my recommendation is go check the user manual. You would be able to find all the information there. Okay. Another question is, any chance of being able to load in the same page of query more than 50 results that it was possible in the previous version? Sometimes this search is done, there are more than 50 results, and would be nice to be able to select and download all of them at once. So if you want to download all of them at once, you can select the, instead of run the query, you can run it directly in Excel, and that will give you the direct export of all the results. If there are more than 50, you will download all of them. So instead of click run, you can click run in Excel. That would be the best way to do it. I will also take a note on this in case we need to do some improvements on the way these records are displayed in the new user interface. Okay, bulk update retiring in October. Is that for all bulk update tools, or what does the retirement refer to? No, so from yesterday, if you go to the xEVMPD web, you will be able to use the bulk update with the old way, the old user interface, or the new one that doesn't require ActiveX. From October, the old tool will be decommissioned and only the new one will remain. So you will be able to do your bulk updates, but only using the new tool. Is an improvement on the user interface that doesn't require ActiveX, but after October, you will be able to still use it. So the bulk update tool is not allowing us to insert new SMPCs in bulk. Then I will check. I'm not sure that's an option that is allowed. I will also take a note of this one and discuss it.
Yes, what was done is just a like-for-like replacement of the functionality that was there, and I don't think the bulk update of SMPCs was an existing functionality, so we're not adding new functionality at the moment, just doing a technical upgrade that enables you to use the latest versions of the browser in an easier way, not necessarily new functionality.
Okay. So will be possible in the future to have an option to select products in the xEVMPD web altogether without having to select one by one. There is already an option, and I'm not sure if there's in the user manual, the step-by-step is there. Mm-hmm. There is a button on the top that you are able to select all the records at the same time. I would need to share my screen, and I think we don't have time now. So we can do it. There's a Q&A tomorrow afternoon. If you join there, I will be able to then share my screen, and I can explain you how you can select all the records at the same time. Okay, can we view the SMPC that was submitted via previous xEVMPD submissions in xEVMPD web? Yes, you should be able to see other versions of the product. I think also we can discuss this tomorrow, maybe in the Q&A, because I can show you how this is shown in the xEVMPD web. Okay, after the operation reinsert, when the additional presentation due to different packed description are added of the product with the status valid transfer, the new entries, after we download the XML, the status changes to valid instead of valid transfer. Can you open a ticket, please? Because that we need to check with the technical team why those changes are happening. It's a technical question that we need to involve our technical colleagues so they can review this. When exporting a report, EV codes are not found. However, if searched manually, it is available and valid. Why we have this gap result? You should check when you are creating the report, if you are using the new user interface, there are some fields that are pre-populated. For example, the validity is set as valid, so you only export EV codes that have been validated by EMA, and maybe not all of them have been validated. You need to change this value. Check for EMA validity and change it to any. So you will be able to see all the EV codes. Otherwise, you can also open a ticket, include all this information, like this is the report that I'm trying to do, this is the export that I have, so please, and we will be able to check. And with that, I think we have reached the time for the next topic. And the next topic is PMS. So Veronica, over to you.
Thank you, Marcos, and good morning, everyone. So today, colleagues, I'm providing you an update on what we've been able to deliver for in quarter two, but also what is planned to be delivered and work on focus on quarter three and a little bit beyond. reaching also at the beginning of 2027. So first of all, as you can see, we have three main areas where we want to focus. The first one is in order to deliver a more efficient service and also to allow you to reuse the data within the regulatory context, but also across other services, including the EMA core activities, we have identified two main areas. One is the customer service and another one is the data quality in the context, of course, of the PMS project itself. As a reminder, PMS is still a project, so has not yet ended. That's why we consider it as part of the project. So these two activities we're trying to run the tasks in parallel because they are all very well connected. We are, first of all, planning to improve in quarter. We started already in Q2 analyzing the backlog of tickets, the way the tickets are handled, the different teams, and the coordination across the teams, but the core activities will be performed in Q3. We are planning to indeed improve the way we handle tickets across different teams that you might not have visibility outside, but also improve the way they are triaged, making a faster triage, making a faster handling of tickets, and hopefully to quickly identify the key areas of data quality findings that deserves the right attention. If you had the chance to join the PMS Info Day hosted on the 9th of June this year, we had a presentation on that explains exactly how we give the priority. We assign the priority mostly based on the highest volume of products impacted. Along with that, the activity of course, improving the customer service, addressing the backlog of the ticket, etc., is very important for us because it facilitates the work that we have to do at the level of the data quality. As you can see in Q2, I'll give you more information in the next slide, we have been focusing on both addressing issues identified at CAPS and a no CAPS level. So in Q2, we have been improving the way we synchronize the data for CAPS from SciMed into PMS and across the systems. And also for the non-centrally authorized products, we have been addressing the issue we identified on the products duplicated. So we deduplicated, we identified the root cause, and we have been moving to deduplicate all the data that have been resulting as a duplicate in the PMS. Then in Q3, we are moving ahead with the merging of the packages with the multilingual countries, and also improving the way the xEVMPD system, the Delta that moves the data loads the data from xEVMPD to PMS. Sometimes they are not really aligned, so we are improving also in this step. And so on over the year, we have identified a list of activities where we need to improve the quality of the data. Of course, we are also running in parallel a better way to monitor the issues and the same better way to monitor the incidents. So that's why these two activities runs in parallel, and with an eye always on the volume of data that are submitted as part of the enrichment process by MAHs in the context of the shortage and the critical medicines reporting. With regards to the documentation, as you know already, because it's is happen on a routine basis, we always keep up to date our documentation. In this case, in Q2, we have updated Chapter 3, Chapter 1, and most in particularly in the context of the public API beta release, which is one of the major milestones that we have achieved at the end of Q2. And then in the future, so in Q3, we aim to release a bunch of documentation related indeed to the strengthened and improved process to submit ticket. This guideline will be helpful for external users, but also internal users, especially giving more clarity on how the tickets are triaged, which are the SLAs, and how is the process for the investigation and where it goes across the different teams. Last but not least, something that has been postponed for a while is the Chapter 4 is still in the backlog of the documents to be published, but it takes a little bit more time because we need to finalize the overall quality framework adapted to PMS. Now, important for you that might be interesting, we had the PMS Info Day I mentioned in June, but we are also planning in the context of the beta release for the public PMS API on the 13th of July, so next week, next Monday, to host a webinar. And also on the 21st of July, we also will host a webinar regarding mostly these two activities that I mentioned before, data quality and improvement of customer service. And I think I mentioned everything. The key part, as I said, is the release of the public API, and of course, at the end of the 2026, we are planning to revisit the use of the public API and see if it's confirmed that we can proceed with the full rollout of the PMS public API. So moving from beta to full delivery. Then, as I mentioned before, for those colleagues who didn't have the chance to join the PMS Info Day, it was a great occasion to engage with the leaders at the agency, but also across the European network. We had leaders from different authorities at European level, and there was it was a good chance to understand that PMS is on top on all the activities of the agency and also across the network, and that it was a reminder for those colleagues who are still need to catch up with the activities with PMS and the implementation of the IDMP, how to do that, which are the timelines. So you can have a link here. It was recorded and broadcasted, so you can have a look to the presentation and the discussion we had. Then, most importantly, second topic, what we achieved in 2026 Q2, it was the beta release of the public PMS API. So we have agreed after an intense work with the PMS team and all the developers in the network and industry to proceed with the beta release of the public API. This was launched on the 12th of June, and for this we have been publishing a bunch of documentation that you can already find on the PMS webpage. If you scroll down, you have a section implementation guide, and most importantly, Annex B to Chapter 1 is explaining to the external colleagues how they can get access and which kind of information you can receive. Of course, my suggestion is to read this document in conjunction with the Annex A to Chapter 5, because there you can have a clear understanding of which kind of products data can be publicly accessible. Of course, it's a strategic delivery, so it's important that to remind that this is not a full rollout. It's just a moment, it's just a way to familiarize with the system, with the platform, until we can increase massively the quality of the data and also the data that are available. So if you didn't have the chance, please have a look to this documentation. It also enables innovation, and it was a huge milestone from the agency and the whole network. Documentation, I won't spend much time. You're more than familiar with this information that we always publish. We keep up to date always FAQ, because the new data fixes that we deliver, the new findings that we identify, that we always report it for transparency. Chapter 3, Chapter 1, and all the annexes. We took the chance to update the annex to rename the annexes associated to Chapter 1, because we are now hitting a moment where we have a different and multiple environment. We have production API environment, UAT environment, and now also the public API environment. So that's why this documentation have been renamed, but they are ready for you to be read and used. Then, in terms of data quality, one of the key aspects I mentioned before, we have been focusing on improving the way the data from SIMET to PMS are synchronized. So finally, we had a successful UAT. We fixed most of the critical root cause that were preventing in this synchronization, and we raised the level of quality. Most of the time, you may have seen in PUI or an API duplicated records like ingredients ingredient pharmaceutical dose form for caps only, and that's why we have been working on it. Then, second point, but related to non-caps products, we cleaned up the duplicated products for non-centrally authorized data. Of course, just a reminder for you colleagues, the speed of data fix might go faster than the speed of receiving a feedback in Snow services. So please bear with us. The team is doing a brilliant job, so we just need to give them a little bit of time to cope with the whole backlog that we have. But in this case, you can finally see a bunch of correct information, products, number of products reported, also to be reused for your regulatory activity. So my suggestion here will be, if you didn't receive any feedback, please have a look to the products that have been you have reported as duplicate, and have a look by yourself if this has been fixed or not, because they are going in a scalable order. Now, what we are planning for Q3. Again, data quality enhancements. This is where we push a lot for the whole throughout the whole 26. We are moving now to act on two important aspects. One is the multilingual countries, where you can see most of the time multiple records reported, especially with the same name, packages, and information. So here we are planning to merge them all, so you can see only once. And another important aspect is, as I mentioned before, we see many tickets of MAHs reporting xEVMPD information that have not been loaded correctly in PMS. So this is where we're working and focusing on Q3. We're working to investigate on what's the root cause and what is causing this indeed. And then we can also perform the data fixes. So basically synchronizes the messages that you have been submitting from xEVMPD, and then make sure that these are loaded correctly across the system, starting from PMS API. Of course, as I mentioned, and a reminder, the way we operate is always acting first on the analysis, understanding the root cause, perform the bug fixes at the system level, and then moving to data fixes. So the proper product that you have impacted with this issue are part of the data fixes. So it's the last step, and that's why this fix is expected in Q4, because we need to first of all fix the issue at the root level. Of course, improving the level of quality is one of the benefits, but we will keep you posted, because we always have Q&A clinics for PMS, so there's the occasion to keep us up to date all the time on this. Then we also have, we plan to host two topics specific webinar. I mentioned already 13th of July, beta release public API, and 21st of July, PMS data quality. Just a little information, the meeting for the beta release has been moved from 2 to 2:30. So we will update the slides just for your information, and also the registered colleagues have already been notified on this postponement. And then customer service, I don't spend much time because I repeated already, we are really focusing on improving the whole process for managing ticket, but also not only internally, also to bring externally more clarity on this, so we can all be together in improving the quality of that information and communicate with you. Then I think we have a next slide, which is basically summarizing what we are planning, mostly focusing. So as I mentioned, we have performed the third edition of the PMS Info Day. We have successfully released the public PMS API beta release on the 12th of June. And then we are also progressing constantly in improving the level of quality of PMS data. On top of it, we are working to improve the level of service, so the customer service, the triaging of the tickets, the way we communicate with you, increasing also the number of FTEs that will be working in PMS on tickets, and also improving hosting 2 webinars in the short term in July. Then we have, again, continuous announcements on data quality, and very far in the future, as Marcos mentioned, the xEVMPD data submission decommissioning. We are working at the moment for the decommissioning of the assignment, so that's why we're preparing all the activities related to that. We are also working for the upgrade to R5 of the FHIR PMS message, and then, as I mentioned, indeed creating the possibility to create pending products for initial marketing authorization, starting from caps, because we are looking for the decommissioning of Cyamed, and then moving to non-caps. And I think I finished my presentation, and we might have 10 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Veronica. So yeah, I think there are some questions for PMS. So let me filter them. So the first question is related to the pack size quantity operator that is now available in the UI. The question is if the quantity operator is going to be populated by default as equal to, or if there's going to be any bulk update functionality in the UI to populate this specific value for the pack sizes.
So in Q4, we have used a store indeed to deliver this functionality to show you by default the value equal to, but we have placed that for Q4. What you can do at the moment, you can submit by using the bulk functionality feature that is already implemented in case you have the same value to be reported for this pack size. In this case, you can start with the bulk update, but then in Q4, you will be able to see by default the value equal to.
Thank you. We have another one related to the MBOs that are migrated from Cyamed. There are some discrepancies that have been found by some users. They have raised tickets, but those tickets have been closed, saying that these manufacturing business operations cannot be added. And even they are like the high level terms from RMS. So one of the activities, for example, the packaging for the active substance. What can they do, or what can we do in those cases?
So it's always a good, correct behavior to submit a ticket because you don't find specific manufacturer business operation, especially for data which are coming from Cyamed, so CAPS products. In this case, and this is what we are planning to improve in terms of transparency documentation, there are some active operations that are not relevant for Cyamed, so these are not tracked, and indeed these are packaging for the active substance, or importation, or sterilization, filtration. So there are some activities that the data stewards do not record it because in their procedure is not deemed necessary. What we're planning to do, we are planning to update the guidance, and I will enter in the FAQ a specific section explaining for visibility which kind of operation are not reported, because these are not information that needs to be tracked in Cyamed. So it's okay to, if you want to have more clarity, submitting a ticket, we will reply, but then have a look also to the next version of the FAQ, because we'll be entering this information for clarity. Thank you.
Thank you. There's another one for the MBOs and the manufacturers, because Chapter 3 says that if there is a change, these changes should be reflected within the next 30 days. But is this also applicable for the type 1A variations, the do and tell? There are some health authorities that do not provide the specific explicit date of approval in some for non-caps. So do they still need to submit the change within these 30 days?
So when we launched the enrichment, so we opened the right PMS capability in Pure Iron API, we always communicated that we do accept updates on PMS records on a monthly basis. So if you want to be indeed, to be very precise, we would like to follow indeed the legal notice for the xEVMPD data submission. In this case, for any variation or change to the terms of the marketing and authorization is always 30 days. The timeline, so that's fine. If you have a do and tell, in this case, the variation do and tell, you implement and then you implement the change in your system, and then you inform the authority. So in this case, you can already submit the information to PMS. Bear in mind that by the time you submit this information into the PMS system, in particular indeed the MBO, the manufacturer business operations, the network, the national competent authorities, they may have a look to the system because they have access to this information. So you can submit it. If you can do it as soon as possible is always better, as long as you are aligned and compliant with the timelines that are provided, of course.
Okay, thank you, Veronica. So I think it's also now time. There are more questions, but we need to move to the next topic, which is one I think it's interesting, and there has been already questions about that. It's the one for the OMS subscription. So over to you, Deborah.
Thank you. So we're finally here. It has been a long journey, but we finally managed to implement these OMS subscriptions on the OMS side. So the aim of this, to have this feature on the OMS side, is to facilitate your data updates by getting informed of any relevant changes that may occur in the organization that were not triggered by you. So first step is preferences. So for you to even before start receiving these notifications, you need to define your preferences. So these preferences are set in our OMS portal under organization portal and then preferences. So the preferences will be associated to one email. So you as a user, you can have multiple emails, but pay attention because your preferences will always be associated to one single email, not as a user, but as an email. Our recommendation is to use one functional email, one company email that is monitored by more than one person in the company. And you will understand the repercussions of this in point 6, but this is for a better usage of this feature. This is our recommendation. For these preferences to be set up, you need to first introduce a valid email address. There are some rules embedded in the system, but once this email is validated, you enter a valid email, you need to click on the blue button, validate, and the way it works is you're going to receive one email in your mailbox, in the mailbox of the just recently validated email. And in this email, it will contain one link that is valid for one time only. So be careful with this. Not every time you click refresh the page, if you are in the middle of an update, remember this link is no longer valid. You will have to regenerate a new access link in order to continue managing your preferences. After these preferences, after you validate your email address, this is the first overview of your preference or subscription window. So we'll start with the last table because imagine you're logging in for the first time and right now you don't have any information. The window basically the visualization will have two tables. The first table will have your subscriptions. The table underneath, it's where you're going to query in order to be able to affiliate to new organizations. Our recommendation is always to use the specific org ID. Alternatively, you can also use we don't recommend the usage of organization name alone or country alone. If you're not sure about your organization ID, or imagine you want to subscribe to your organization that has different names and different org IDs in one country, here our advice is to use organization name and country as a combined search. And we recommend this because if the outcome is of your query provides a lot of organizations, then performance will be negatively impacted. And this is why org ID is always the preference way to search when you're looking to affiliate yourself to a certain record. Taking back to after you affiliate, you select a handful of organizations. This will be the overview. So at the top, you'll have the view of organizations that you are currently subscribing to, which means that after this first table is populated, any updates that happen after you affiliate yourself, any update that happened to those records, on the following Monday, you will receive any updates that occur will be available in the notification that you will receive. If nothing changes, you will see there is a message saying that no changes occur. Right now, because we're just starting, imagine you don't have a lot of subscriptions. However, once you start following a high number of organizations, this is why we provided at the bottom of the table, you have a quick search bar where you can easily navigate in your subscribed organizations. Now, when it comes to manage your subscriptions, this can be done in both tables. Okay, in the first table, there is a quick unfollow action. In the last table is where you have all. This is where is the dedicated table to manage all your subscriptions. Here, after you perform a search, this is the system will show you all active organizations in OMS that fit the search pattern query you just performed. And if you look at the last column, you're going to have a column with a tick, untick option, tick to subscribe, untick to unsubscribe. And never forget to click save. In this last table, it's crucial that you click save before you move on to other activities. If you don't click save, the data will not move to or be eliminated to the subscription table on top. Again, in this outcome search table, there is a search in case after you perform your initial search. If you want to even refine more your search, you can use that bar at the bottom, as well as browse through the different pages in case more than 20 results are visible. Last but not least, both tables are dynamic. So, for example, if you use the quick unfollow action on the table on top, the table below will be updated, and when you will see that the record is now unticked. If you do it the other way around, if you edit your data at the bottom and you now select to subscribe a new organization, after you click save, both tables will be dynamic and will be updated simultaneously. Now, finally, to our weekly notification. So this notification will happen every Monday. And will contain, it will be divided by 2 points. This will contain a summary of all versions that were generated in the previous week. So in the point A, the first part of the email, it will be displayed all organization versions that were created in the past week. I try to showcase some of these examples in case organization name, there is a name update. What you would expect is under the type changes, you will read the RMS code, which is name change. If two organizations undergo a merge, what you would expect under the type changes, let's imagine there is a merge following a deduplication process. This is what you'll see under the type change column. The same will happen, exactly the same behavior for point B, which will capture new versions created at locations to the organizations that you are subscribing to. Taking a step back, subscriptions will happen only at organization level, okay? Any locations that belong to those organizations that suffer, undergo the creation of a new version, they will appear here in this email notification. If no changes occur, what will be displayed is a simple no change in this period, and then you can proceed without any further actions on your side. Very important to highlight that this email notification acts as an alert. And of course, at this point, this email notification does not inform of newly created organizations. Those volumes will be significantly high. And it does not provide the full details of those changes. If you wish to see, for example, the version comment or to analyze exactly what changed, you will need to go to the OMS export or to review our OMS API to look exactly what data changes. This email works only as an alert. And an alert for what? So what we recommend is we implemented this in order to help with the periodic review. We recommend you to periodically review our notifications, because after reviewing all these type of changes that we implement, this will help you the preparatory work necessary for your regulatory submissions. In case further clarifications are required, you still have time to do it, and it's not right before your submission. In case, as you know, some changes in RMS may have an impact on consuming systems, the case of a merge, and this will allow you, you will receive a notification as soon as this happens to allow you more time to understand the impact and what you need to do. So guidance, in terms of guidance and documentations, these slides have been published in our OMS portal for the moment, in case you have any questions after this session. Further improvements to our Web UI manual will be enriched with exactly this step-by-step to be published in the near future. So this, one last note, this subscription feature was released as minimum viable product to provide our users with the early access and the faster visibility to the information available. Continuous improvements for this feature, we aim this continuous improvement. We will work with the key user group, and we hope also, if you see that something that doesn't fit, that you see that in improvements it could be done, please use our customer satisfaction survey as a channel for this communication. I think we can move on with RMS. Yeah.
Thank you, Deborah. Can I have the next slide, please? So you may be aware that until recently, it was only possible to query the latest version of terms in RMS via the API. This made it difficult to track changes, to see what had changed exactly, and this reduced the possibilities to audit these changes. So the RMS team worked on this API early in the year, and implementation was actually completed around April. As a result, and in addition to what was already possible, the RMS API can now be queried by a specific version number or by specific as of date, or users can even ask for full history of a term. As you will see in the slides later, responses from the API include the exact term definition and metadata for the term and version or versions queried. So as a result of this implementation, there's now a higher visibility of changes. Users can reproduce past results and be compliant with the full audit trail. And this will enable backward compatibility without the need to force updates. So important points to consider are that users need to be registered to get access to the RMS API. And we will show you later where to find more information on this. And all API queries must contain the reference to V1, which is the RMS API version. So without this reference, queries won't work. You can see an example of a query for a specific term within a specific list in the bottom window. In this query, we're asking to see version 5 only of the RMS, of an RMS term, but we need to, as I was mentioning, we need to also specify that the RMS API is version 1. So on the right window, you can see examples and links to different applications that you can use for free to make API queries. So in this slide, you'll see how to query the latest version of a term. So to do this, the syntax to fetch data from the API is get, and the endpoint should indicate the list ID and the term ID. So if nothing else is specified, the API will return only the latest version of the term. And you can see this in the next slide, actually, slide 50, how the API returns only version 6 of the term, which is the latest version. Now, to query a specific version of a term, the endpoint is very similar to the previous one. However, right after the term ID, there should be a question mark and a reference to the version required. And this is expressed as version -number equal to, and then the version number required. So with this query, we should only get the requested version in the response, and no other versions should be included. And this is what you can see in the example. So we queried for a specific term within a specific list, and we only want version 5, and this is what you can see in the screenshot, and no other versions are included. So here we show you how to query all versions of a term in RMS. So again, the query is similar to the previous ones. So the user needs to specify the list ID and the term ID. And right after the term ID, the user should specify that all versions are needed. This can be done by typing in a question mark right after the term ID, followed by the syntax version equals true, as you can see in the screen. The result of this query in this specific case was too big to fit in a single slide, but you can see that we searched for the term version in the API tool. And as you can see in the red rectangle, we got 15 instances of this term version, which hopefully proves that the response contains several versions of this term. And this is the final slide. Just to point you to where exactly you can find more information on the RMS API. So you can find the relevant documentation under the general and technical tabs under the documents area of the RMS Web UI, and you have the link for this in the screen in the left part of the slide. Specifically under the general tab, you can find more general information, such as information on how to register for SPOR API access, the SPOR API general terms of service, and a Q&A on access to the SPOR API. And then under the technical tab, we have highlighted two important documents, the technical specifications of the SPOR API and a document with SPOR API sample payloads to get a better understanding of the API calls available in the OMS and RMS solution. So that was all we wanted to go through today on this.
Thank you, Jaume and Deborah. So we have a couple of questions related to these two topics. You can also ask your question in a slide for these featured topics. So let me move here. So there is a question for OMS. So there is a question if it's possible to subscribe for any organization in the database, if there is any need to be affiliated to that organization. So the user is saying, can I subscribe for all the manufacturers that I have used to enrich, for example, PMS? Is this a possibility?
Yes. So the way we build subscriptions, there is no relationship with your affiliations, either affiliations existing in PMS, nor affiliations currently existing for OMS. If you wish to receive weekly email notifications to a certain manufacturer or organization, you need to do so by performing the step-by-step I just guided you. You need to subscribe to a certain organization.
Okay, thank you. There is also a question on if you can share the email from where these notifications are going to be sent, because some companies might need to validate it so they can receive emails from this.
I believe this is in the slides, but let me confirm. After I will send a direct message to you to reply to this question.
We can maybe do something as well. This afternoon we have the SOR Q&A, so maybe we can also clarify it there. Okay, we have another one. Do you have to list all the organizations that are used? This could be a big number of companies.
We understand. This is why we've created different, after you perform your search, this is why we added the second layer of search, and we added the visualization of seeing different results, different numbers, a possibility to have different views, to view the 10 results, 25 results. You can browse through, you can perform a query inside the table. So this is why those capabilities were added there, to help you in this instance.
Okay, thank you. The next one is also for OMS. So will this email be sent to all the holders and sponsors on the OMS subscription? Imagine that there is an MA holder that uses a third-party provider. Can they include the email of this provider so they also receive the subscription email, or is it recommended to use the email from the holder?
I'd like to take you back to my first slide to remind you that email needs to be validated. So you need to be able to have access to this email, because you will only be able to access your preference page through a link that will be sent to the email you just validated. So, for example, you as a manufacturer, or you as a marketing authorization holder, or as a sponsor, you cannot add third-party emails as a subscribe person. You need, if you want third parties to be able to follow certain organizations, they need to do this themselves.
But just to clarify one thing, the subscription is a means for me as a person to be informed if somebody changed records I'm interested. And if I put the record of my own company, I get an email about that. If I subscribe to manufacturers, I get an email for that. Yeah. So it's not a way to contact anybody working for that company or affiliated for that company. No. Is you set your preferences. I want to be informed. It's like you follow something, TikTok. I want to be informed if there's a change of something interesting to me. It's not for us to contact the companies or anybody in that company to let them know anything. Of course, people in that company can subscribe to their own records.
And no one will see, you will not have access to see who is following which organization. No, you are able only to see the organizations, your preferences, and that's it.
Thank you. Next one. Once we have validated the email and they have selected the organizations, every time they want to check their subscriptions, will they receive an email?
You just follow the step-by-step in the page. So the description I told you for the first login is exactly the same step by step for any following logins. So you need to go to the OMS page. You need to add your email. You will receive an email. From that email, you click on the link, and from there, you finally have access to your page. And you do this as many times as you want. Remember, the link is only valid for one time, but you can generate one email as many times as you wish.
Okay, I think we have replied to this. Can several emails be subscribed to the same organization? Like a vendor and a holder can be subscribed for the same organization and receive the updates?
Yes,
yeah.
To our knowledge, there's no limitation of subscriptions per organization.
Then in the future, there will be any possibilities to select all OMS organizations in an easy way?
There is that option. If you take back to my slides and you see I believe in the point 4 where we talk about manage subscriptions, on the left hand side, you cannot do to all OMS dictionary, but you can do, for example, imagine that you search buyer in Germany, and you can, on the left hand side, there's the option to select all. And then you need to click save. But this option is available in the page after you perform a query.
Just to say, we didn't envisage that you would want to be informed and receive an email for every organization out there. Just a heads up, we have 80,000 of them. And we do thousands of changes every week. Yeah. So your email would look like the yellow pages of changes for all the versions we do. So just a heads up. This feature is intended to be used for really relevant ones. If you want those volumes of information, we strongly recommend you use the API or something a bit more fancy. So it's not a silver bullet for all the changes in OMS.
I think we have still time for a couple of them. So any plan to include the MIA number in the database? Because it would be great if they receive notification in case of changes for the enrichment purposes.
So clearly not in OMS. We are investigating whether we could put the MIA in PMS, but it would not be data that we would put at the level of the organization for sure.
Thank you. Maybe just a misunderstanding. Can you explain why users cannot use their own email and they need to use the inbox instead?
It's not that they cannot use our recommendation, because imagine that you work with a team that are responsible for submission of multiple regulatory procedures. The idea of our recommendation when using a functional email is for the case where you go on holidays and you have a colleague that is your backup and is monitoring, is responsible for following up, for submitting a procedure that you delegated to that person. Imagine that you have this communication going to your email, this person will not receive it because this person is your backup unless they subscribe themselves to those records. But this is why, hence our recommendation for a functional email, so that it facilitates the communication and the distribution of work amongst internal teams. Can you do it with your own email? Yes, you can. It works with all types of emails we tested. It's just our recommendation for easy flow.
So we have the last one. Maybe that's easy. So there is someone that is already registered, but they have not received the email. Maybe they need to check the spam, or they have not blocked the email from which we are sending this notification, or maybe open a ticket. I don't know.
Taking back to one of my previous answers, which is you may be affiliated to an organization in OMS. This doesn't mean that you're subscribing to an organization. Okay. Remember, For you to receive these weekly notifications, you need to go to your preference page and affiliate yourself to a certain organization. Okay. Without this, if you're a super user of if you have industry role of a certain organization, this does not entitle you to this weekly notification. You need to subscribe to the records to receive the notifications.
Thank you, Deborah. So I think we encourage people to try this new functionality, right? And then if they have questions, then we are here to reply. So with this, we can move to the next topic. It's about the upcoming webinars and then conclusion. So Isabel, over to you.
So just a quick recap. So we do these status update webinars every quarter. We just had one today. The next one is in October, and you have the link there to access it. Veronica already mentioned that there's still 2 important webinars happening for PMS in July. So on the 13th of July, we have the PMS public API beta release, a technical overview and a live demo of the system. So please dial into that. And also, if you're interested anything about product data quality in PMS, we will be covering the processes, the known issues, what are the priorities, what's the current status, and the best practices and tips and tricks for you to raise or not raise tickets with regards to PMS data quality. And that webinar is happening on the 21st of July at 2 p.m. So in terms of Q&A, so if you want to come and just ask us any question, we just realized that actually we forgot to list, actually it's been refreshed. This afternoon at 3:30 p.m., we still have one webinar of SOR. So Deborah, Jaume, and Pedro will be there. So any questions on the subscriptions, we will be able to elaborate further this afternoon. We will pause for the summer break, and we will be back for those clinics on the 9th of September. Now for PMS and xEVMPD, the clinics will happen tomorrow. So PMS in the morning at 9:30, xEVMPD in the afternoon. And similar to SOR, we will break for summer and resume activities and clinics on the 10th of September. So please come and meet the experts, ask any questions. They are addressed on the spot. So just concluding what we covered today. Next slide, please. So in the previous quarter, in terms of delivering data services, we improved or started changing the substances preferred names that resulted from the SVG cleansing. We improved the way that we validate the change requests in OMS, specifically with the return change request capability that enable us to reduce by 20% the amount of rejected change requests. So we believe that's a significant efficiency gain for both customers as well as ourselves. In terms of RMS, we reviewed special precautions for storages, a shelf life material, and also EMDM list and MEDRA. So a few updates relevant for you there. And in terms of xEVMPD, there's been more guidance documents to start using and start of product deduplication. Now, in terms of improving customer satisfaction and success, we continue with the normal clinics, as you have seen, twice a month for PMS and xEVMPD and once a month for SOR. And very importantly, in the way that we've modernized our data, we have made significant improvements in Q2. So starting with SMS, you can see new fields available in the Excel exports. Very importantly, and just presented in OMS, we have the subscription feature where you can be informed of changes to organizations of your interest. We also went live with the PMS beta release of the public API. So now public data is available to anyone who wants it programmatically. And in RMS, we also made changes to the API, enabling users to consume previous and every version and any version of the RMS terms in a programmatic way. So significant improvements there in terms of technical capabilities. So for next quarter, we will continue finalizing changes of the preferred terms and substances. A few more updates to note in terms of the EMDN list and VEDRA. And very importantly, in terms of data quality improvements on PMS, the focus is on merging packages in multilingual countries. So we do have some duplicates there, and they will be merged in Q3. And also to improve synchronization from xEVMPD, particularly when companies make updates to large volumes of products in one xEVPRM message alone. So we hope to improve that. In terms of customer satisfaction and access to information to you, the highlight is the publication of the SMS guidance version 4, which is a consolidated guidance, and also a set of business rules version 1. In terms of modernizing the systems, again, more functionalities to come in terms of the SMS bulk functionalities, which is more internal for us. In terms of usability for you, the news will be that you will have drop downs from the OMS data into the change request forms in ServiceNow, so you don't have to type in and key in information in the change request forms. RMS comes back with a subscription back on the portal, so you can equally subscribe and get information if there are new lists or changes to terms and lists of your interest. And for xEVMPD, last but not least, the bulk export and bulk update tools will be available within the xEVMPD new web interface, with the intention to decommission the old web interface in October, which is already beginning of Q4. So that is the highlights from previous and this quarter. Before we close the webinar, if I can kindly ask you to spare the last few minutes to go to Slido. There's a poll on this particular webinar, topics of interest, how we're addressing them, how we can improve, so we can consider any feedback for improvement for the webinar in October. So please spare us a few minutes of your last attention. And while you're at it, I wish you a great break and hope to see you in the October webinar fully charged.